मेरी
Namaskar. I'm Kumar Rakesh and you're watching Global Governance News TV. Today we're going to discuss the role of youth in politics and development. This is actually very a subject we can say, but recently a report published by Inter-Parliament Union that is a matter of concern for the youth of world. So, before this starting the just introduction of the subject, I introduce you our Vandana Jinganji, senior journalist from Chicago. I welcome this show, Rakesh Tiwari ji, and whatever he claimed they were youth. So from the Canada, Toronto, and Alok Laharji. So I consider myself also with all of you. That is we're talking about the youth role of youth, and in India, there's is 35 years till they're acclaimed and registered and recognized by the political party. So they are youth. But now you see in our Indian politics, Mr. Rahul Gandhi of the Congress leader is 51, but ever he is claimed himself he is youth. So, but if I just this is a IPU research on youth participation in parliaments has produced a wealth of data and generated a series of recommendations to enhance youth participation. And here are some of the main findings. This is a very big report, but I'm summary, just key findings. I'm just going to be placing before you for the further discussion. Now, what is the role of youth, peace and security? Young people under 30 make up just 2.6% of world MPs. Around this is the I can tell you this is the IPU's 2021 report. So very latest report. So young people under 30 make up just over 2.6% of the world MP. Around 25% of world single and lower houses of parliament have no MPs age under 30. 73% of world upper houses of parliament have no MPs age under 30. Trained for the different age group. 2.6% of the world's MPs are aged under 30, up from 2.2% in 2018. Once 17.5% of the world MPs are aged 40 under 40, up from the 15.5% in 2018. We're talking about the data of 2021. So 30.2% of the world MPs are aged under 45, up to 28.1% in 2018. Male MPs outnumber their female counterparts in every age group. So increasing signs. There's good sign. The gender imbalance is less pronounced uh, among MPs where the male-female ratio is 60-40, and the share of the young parliaments has continued to increase across all age categories. Youth quotas, lower eligibility. There is no quota in India, and we'll discuss about the Canada, Spain, and Canada. There is youth quota or not, but youth quotas, lower eligibility ages, proportional representation, and inclusive parliaments are all factors that increase the number of young MPs. So best performers, over 10% of members are aged under 30 in Norway, Romania, San Marino, Zambia, and Belgium. See that Romania, Ukraine, and Italy have the highest proportion of MPs aged under 40 and lower or single house of parliament. Belgium, Burundi, and Jamaica have as the highest proportion of MPs is under the 40 in upper house of parliament. Over 60% of MPs in the single and the lower chambers of Armenia, Ukraine, and Turkmenistan are aged under 45. More than 40% of MPs in the upper houses of parliament of Belgium, Afghanistan. So Afghanistan is now a new pattern, but this is, I think, the crisis before crisis. This had report had made, and Burundi is under 45. Youth and policy making in parliament. Network of young MPs as well as the caucuses that promote youth policy and public policy are present in small but growing number of parliaments. Parliamentary committees dealing with the youth issues exist in more than 60% of countries, with most the committee. As you know, the Steering Committee just try to reform the policies for the governance of the concerned government in the different countries. So other studies to engage youth people in the parliaments. Youth parliament exists in 56% of countries surveyed. Some have formal ties to the national parliament, but most are coordinated by non-government organizations, government ministries, school, and other local authorities. New technologies have and online tools are help citizens, including young people, to understand and monitor the work of parliament. They are also boosting accessibility and transparency. I'm going to start now. Alok ji, just how you just analyze the data and how you deal with the better performance youth.
Good evening, Kumar Rakeshji. Like the data you've given is very promising in that way. But I don't know if this is related to India. In Europe, more and more you see the participation of the youth and the average age of the politicians. It is going down in the parliament, and even in when it is not, we're not talking about the parliament. We talk about the provincial or the state governments also. Then the persons who are participating in the formation and decision making, uh, that is coming down. I mean, keeping in view that the voting age remains at 18, which is kind of interesting in that sense. But let's say we have the chief minister who is aged at 32 years, so which is a great achievement. So I think this is good, but then there is another different type of problem which we will have to concentrate. The average age. I mean, youth are kind of vanishing from the data which you provided to us is from mainly from Europe only. So the average population of the European is not that of youth. So the number of youth is coming down because of the the population. The increase of population is so little because to duplicate the population you require around three issues to a family. But this is not happening. It is coming down to one or two, which obviously means that the old population in Europe and in the developing world, which includes, let's say, countries like United States of America, that doesn't have that problem because lots of immigration is there. Canada has kind of tried to revive it, but Japan definitely has got this problem that the old age is coming up. Now, in such a situation, in case more and more politicians are from the youth, would they be able to take decisions for the old? That's an issue. So I think the amalgamation should be there. Another thing which you mentioned, which kind of I'm not too sure if that is correct. You said the male female ratio is 60 to 40 in favor of men. I think this number could be even lesser. Women are participating more and more, but I don't think that 40% of the population of parliament in any of the countries is that of women. I mean, it will be 50-50 should be ideal, but even this is a very good number. I don't think we've achieved it, and less in India. Your mic.
Yeah. So just you narrated that all the just proportion and the participation. So Vandana ji, just the participation encourage to the youth. You think that is a impartiality by the senior leaders either in America and in
First of namaskar and good evening to everybody wherever you are, and good morning to Rakesh ji. We share the same time zone. Namaste. Now, as you mentioned, this is a very interesting subject. The role of youth in this politics and the development. When we see not in politics, if we see the entrepreneurs, nowadays the teenagers are coming out as an entrepreneur. We should involve them, but I always say wisdom should never retire. So the balance has to be there. I mean, but in every country, in every nation, there is a retirement age, which we see not for the politicians. And that should not be there. We do have a congressman who has been 80 plus years and he is a congressman, like a member of parliament. So what do you expect? Like, I mean, there are certain positions, there are certain districts where their voters are like, means, and they will always vote for, there is no competition. Nobody is going to come and compete. So do we get, I do want, there should be a freshness, and that there, but there has to be a balance. It is not that we can all have a youth parliaments, but we need to have a mixed balance of, but whom you consider to be a youth. As I mentioned, somebody like a millionaire, he's still a teenager. They developed some software, you see that, and that has kicked off so very well. And on the other contrary to it, people almost retired, and after the retirement they cannot even think of that kind of money. So bringing new ideas, because world is changing, and as I mentioned, it is a very short span of time we are seeing it. You are sitting somewhere where it is night already. Means after a few hours there will be date change, will still be like, so you are talking to me a day ahead, but I am still seeing that a day behind. So in today's need, we need to have involvement of youth, but there has to be grooming also, which is like, and in United States also, we are seeing, because here it is a very different politics. Let me be very honest. We do have a democratic setup, which is on a very small level. Like it starts from the municipality level. Like if you have a city like Janakpuri, so the Janakpuri will have its own municipal board, just for people to understand. So then the mayor of Janakpuri is very important, because he is responsible to take care of his own territory. So even the president of the United States, means like even the prime minister of India has to come. So it is the importance of that mayor, which is school boards, judiciary, elected positions. So we are seeing a lot of participation from the youth here, the interest into the politics. Earlier, the diaspora used to be either you being a physician or being an engineer. Engineer less, means not as much, either the physicians or the lawyers. That used to be the people, those who have migrated here. But now they are going to serve, like they are going for public service, which is a trend change. We are noticing it. So this is one way very good. We will see that, and the change is going to come. But on the contrary, as I already mentioned, I say there should be a term limit for every position. That is my call.
Just you have mentioned about all the details, but I'll just go to Rakesh Tiwari ji. I think Rakesh Tiwari, the Prime Minister of Canada, now again, second time he on, Mr. Trudeau, as a youth compared to the most of the world states of the world, so many countries parallelly. So do you think the youth leadership really impacts on the national politics of the concerned country? One, and do you think the youth in any part of the world, either in Canada, because you are the best example in Canada, has ever played the better role than any senior leader, just a conservative and all?
Well, let me say that what you said, that does it make change when the youth enter in politics? Is there any change? What kind of changes there? I agree with that totally, that yes, when the youth get involved with politics or anywhere, so they bring a fresh energy, fresh ideas, and it is their time. Sadly, in politics, a lot of places, youth representation, what is supposed to be, it is not there. In Canada, I will say that in last parliament we had the average age of member of parliaments was 52, which came down now. Now it should be, if I'm not wrong here, should be close to 48 or something like that. So going numbers in that way. Now, going back to this, so another question, as you mentioned about the youth participation in global politics. So it is must, it is required, and there should be some kind of law for that. We do complain that youth are not participating, youth are not doing this, youth are not doing it, but we don't give them chance. We don't hear them. We say, oh, you don't have experience. Okay, we all have been youth at that age, prime age, put it this way, 20 year, 25 year at that time, and you feel, energetic. You want to change the world. You have and youths are, I will say, that most selfless age, that where you want to do for your country, you want to do something for the community, for humanity, all those ideas, everything gets participated at that time. You participated around that time. So, but at the same time, the obstacles, when we talk about the obstacles, the older generations, like they don't want to let go that power. I will say in Canada is different. I mean, and I respect, most of our politicians, when they go to the politics, when they do their term, 1 or 2 term or 3 term, whatever their term is, afterwards they go in their private life. Nobody bothers about it. And prime ministers, premiers, they take off from their politics and they go work in some corporate. They utilize their experience to the country in another way, because they have learned something, and that's how you progress the country. Okay, that's how everybody goes over there. So Canada has time and time again produced youth leadership. I know a lot of people personally too as well, so that the encouragement is coming from the inner party democracy as well, when the youth get participated.
Okay.
Yeah. So now commenting on, we are coming from the background of Bharat. So I will say, sadly, although it is a fact that Bharat's population is the youngest population, one of the youngest population in the world,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
sadly it is not represented in the parliament.
I'll come on the point.
It is not properly.
More than 64% population of the country are youth.
But they are not represented. They are not represented.
But the representation is more than the state level, that central level. We'll discuss on the point also, and coming to you after this break. Thank you. Just welcome after the break. And Rakesh Tiwari was talking about the India and Bharat, how the representation of that. Alok ji, how do you just comparative the Spain and India, the role of youth, population wise? India is the largest one and top 5 countries, and working wise and participant wise, that also number is like that.
Well,
so this and one thing, I'll just according to UN reports, there is some discrimination about the youth for the opportunities for youth to engage in governance and the socio-economic cultural context. Also, the many parts of the world result multiple forms of discrimination against the young women. Also, formal and informal engagement can be understood as political participation. But this is the strong evidence participating young people in a formal institutional political process is relatively low when compared to the older citizens across the globe. I just mentioned about India, but this is a global report I'm talking, and discussion on the global level. Alok.
Okay, now, Europe is getting younger and younger. I mean, the population is getting older and older, but the participation in politics is getting younger and younger, and especially in the North European countries, let's say Finland, Austria, Denmark, France, all these countries, they are having, I mean, for example, Finland has got, prime minister, she's just 34 years old.
Yeah.
And if we go by the constitution of India, for certain...
All top 5 leaders in Finland, all are women.
That's another thing. That's another very interesting thing. Now, for example, yesterday this thing was there that Algeria is going to have its first woman prime minister, which has got nothing to do with Europe or with India, anything. But this is, a very welcome note that in a predominantly Muslim country, a woman has been empowered, and that too in a country like Algeria, which is very good news. But now, if we look at the average age is coming down in Europe in general. I mean, but it still is around 40, 45 years, 41 years, in Denmark, for example, or something like this. But if you see India, if we contrast it with India, then it is, India is young, but their leaders are not so young. And this is kind of, let's say, 65% of the population of India is below 35 years. Now, if we, this is, I'm talking about the population, but the average age of a, politician in India is around 52 years. The maximum number of parliamentarians in India are from 51 to 55 years. Why is this? Because as Mr. Tiwari was saying that, here the people come and they participate in the elections and everything, and then they go away and they do their own job. I've not seen anywhere where you have, politicians who are career politicians. They don't do anything else but be into politics 24/7. Most of the people, they are doing their own jobs. And, even in the United States of America or here in Spain, once a person has become a prime minister, he can be elected to office only for 2 terms. After that, he has to vacate. He cannot become the prime minister again. He can do whatever he feels like till the end of his life. He'll get his, pension and everything. Those perks are there. They're not as huge as they are in India, but still, yes, they do enjoy. And after that, a new person comes in. So this career politician is a very, and that too, family tradition. Well, anyway, in Canada, we have an example. We have it in the United States of America also. So India is no exception. But it is not very normal that, the father to son, and you continue like this from Kennedys, or let's say the Bush to Bush, or in Canada also. So this is not very normal. It is happening in monarchies and everything, but this is not very normal. I'm not against it. I'm not in favor of it. In case a person is eligible, there's nothing wrong in, a son of a very good politician coming up, and for people elect him, that's the perfect thing. But I think more and more people, at least in India, in the youth, the age has to reduce, and that can only be reduced in case we change certain rules in the constitution. For example, we have a minimum age requirement to become the president of India or the prime minister of India. So we have ourselves put, certain norms saying that unless and until you are so many years old, for example, to become a 32 years, if he dreams of becoming a prime minister in India, he cannot, because the constitution will not allow it. The minimum age requirement in the constitution of India is 35 years, even to become a member of the parliament. So, we cannot expect that somebody who is 18 years old, he can vote, but he cannot become a parliamentarian. Which is kind of crazy. Why not?
That is a valid question. Why not? But one important issue. Just I'll talk to Vandana ji. In a survey conducted by IANYD in August 2012. So this is a very significant survey, and that this is mentioned according to the UN reports. So majority of 13,000 respondents expressing their voices from 186 countries highlighted that main challenges for youth were limited opportunities for effective participation in decision-making process. Vandana ji, what's the reason behind it? What do you think?
Sorry, there was a call. I missed what you said. So you can take Rakesh ji and I'll get back to you.
Okay. Tiwari ji, just I think you listen my inputs, what I gave you. Yeah. Should I repeat again? Unmute yourself, please. Tiwari ji. Please.
Go ahead.
Should I repeat again?
Yeah, go ahead. Tell me.
No. Okay. There was a survey of 2012 by United Nations IANYD, 13,000 respondents, majority of 13,000 respondents expressing their voices from 186 countries, highlighted that the main challenges for youth were the limited opportunities for effective participation in decision-making process. What do you think? Why this stage? going to happen? This is a global issue now.
Well, it is a global issue. It is a global issue, and I will say this: those people who are in power, they have to think about it. And as Alok ji has said very rightly, when we talk about Bharat, which has, we cannot ignore Bharat because it's world's, you can say, largest democracy, and what is showing there, and a lot of reforms are needed, means, badly needed, badly, I will say, a lot of things which is happening. So those reforms are required. So as you mentioned that the age of and to become a president or any another age, you need to be at least minimum 35. Like that's ridiculous. When I'm able to vote for 18, and so a lot of, I will say, what we are carrying in when we compare to when we talk about Bharat, that a lot of baggage, unnecessary baggage, which is coming from the colonial era. At that time, whatever was there, nobody bothered to change because world is going on, that things are going on. Whosoever is politician's son is going to be politician. All those things carry on in that way, such way. I'm so grateful with Canada. I'm thankful to Canada. In Canada, it's not such things like that. Such youth as my son's age, they are getting elected. They are becoming ministers, and when they become minister, they are up to date at this time. Let me say a couple of things. I had interviewed some youth who are coming from Bharat, and I spoke to them. A lot of even them, they don't even have a sense of their history as well. The history is now they know up to the 8th grade and whatnot. So a lot of things, I don't want to be cynical here and to criticize all the way. But definitely there are some obstacles. There are these hurdles which need to be cleared. Youth should be heard. Youth should be heard there. See, in today's debate, when we're talking about it, we know that by heart we do accept ourselves as young too. But the age of 24, at the age of 25, at the age of 30, what they are going through. I wish in today's discussion somebody from that age should have participated. That then they will mention it, that wherever they are, they cannot, if they are liking some girl, a girl is liking some boy, we are like this age and time, we are going through the 18th and 19th centuries law and the values of it. So politicians, as I will say, if I'm able to vote at the age of 18, I should be able to get elected too at the age of 18. Why not? Okay. As simple as that. Thank you.
Okay. So Vandana, just this is the age factor also, and as well as the age factor. If you talk about the age of the candidacy, age of majority, and age of expertise, sometimes the elder in politics says you can't handle it. As well as many young scientists has played the big role in India and other parts of the world. They have to prove themselves. They are more energetic, more powerful by the mind way, scientifically, organizational way. So how do you just narrate this, and how just compare the youth power versus the, I'd not say old power, as you say earlier, the age is numbers, but there's age nation. 60 till 60, they are declared the age, the youth, and after 65, 70 plus, so they are already they're called in the old ages. So this need definition by the new parameters are going to be fixed now.
As you mentioned, I always say there has to be checks and balances. There should be not a career politician. And when we talk about that India being a democracy, we do say that, and that other nations too. But we still see the dynasty still playing a role, to be honest. Because even if you're not capable, I have a statement, I think it was in 2013, I just read by chance. I didn't even know your subject is going to be this. Rabdi Devi stated that if Sonia and Rajiv can run the Congress, it will be me and my son. We will run this RJD. Is this like if you analyze this particular statement, it pains you more than and she had been the chief minister of one of the largest state in Bharat. Coming back to from the US perspective, we do have 100 states here, and every state has 2 senators. So out of that, there are above 50 states, the senator's age is above 65 in the 50 states. So it has been 50%, if you're saying that, 65. 141 congressmen, they are above 65 years of age. And the 14 governors out of the 50, so they are also 65. And I did mention it to you, the senior most senator is 87 years of age. So, yeah. So when we coming, we do have one congressman. We just celebrated Congressman Danny K. Davis, and he is 80 years old. So when you see that, then they become a career politician. But one thing is for here, the Congress, like the member of parliament, you have to run every two years. So the involvement is with your constituents is constant. It's very constant. It is not like, you are elected and for 5 years, means 4 saal to aap chadar taan ke so jao. And then 5th year, you start running again. But I think now this has changed in Bharat. We saw that who got the tickets and stuff like that earlier.
Yeah.
But you cannot compare US and Bharat, to be honest. When we talk about democracy, here it is a true democracy. Let me quote this, and this is very, very vital point. Vandana Jhingan and Alok Ladji, we are 2 people from Republican candidate. Okay. So then comes the primary elections. There is no party support. So it will be, there is an election between the 2 of us. On the contrary, 2 Rakesh are from the Democratic Party. So once the primaries are over, let's say Rakesh Tiwari ji got 70% and you got only 30%, and here Alok ji got 70% and I got 30%. So this will be a battle between Alok ji and Rakesh ji in the main elections. So nobody is giving ticket. जो ticket बांटने का धंधा है ना, so that is what more corruption is. And you have to earn your own, means you have to spend your own money.
On accountability and credibility.
Because, and then when you talk about it, funding, even if somebody is contributing like very small amount, everything is transparent. The ethics committee of the House of Congress is so very strict. You cannot spend. We discussed that one time also about this point. Somebody has used a money just to buy an camera equipment, and the youngest congressman, Eric, he has to lose.
I remember, as you're just sharing, I remember just Obama and Hillary Clinton. By the candidature, so Obama won and Hillary could not.
And but this dynasty thing is coming, even we see that in Bollywood also. I mean, so this has we really changed? We have just changed for the sake of the name, to be honest. So coming back to today's subject, the youth versus the vice, I should say that, wisdom versus the youth. They have to balance it out. And there should not be everyone there has to be, because here we do have 2-term limit for the presidential race also, but we don't have that for the Congress. They can keep going on, and there is talk of reforms are needed somewhat here as well as in Bharat too. That is a need, 911 need in today's time, to be honest. There is youth whom you call is at 24 years, he can be entrepreneur. So why can't he lead that? Thank you.
Yeah. So the reforms, as you just stated, Vandana ji, Alok ji, reforms for the youth participation in politics as well as the development wheels. How just the part of that, one. Number 2, how just the dynasty family participation in politics also affect the general youth, not the classical and the family background, the political background. they have just tried to own the politics as a profession, not as a service. That is also a problem. How do you analyze these two things? The dynastic role in politics as a hamper the prospects, the different class of youth.
Now, if we go by the rule book, I mean, 18 years you can participate, you can exercise your franchise. Now, for example, if we talk about India, 21.
As far as India, if I share you, 18 to 35 is a declared the youth, and any
No,
wing,
youth is
any
35.
political party, but sometimes they were 40 and 45, it's a different issue. But till
No,
35,
I'm talking about something else. The
they can
definition is already there that 35 years you're youth. If you plus
Yeah.
35, you are not youth anymore. So
Yeah.
21 years in India, you can become a mayor, and 25 years you can become
parliamentarian.
prime minister. 30
Yeah.
years you can become the member of Rajya Sabha, Vidhan Sabha, and 36 you can become the president of India. So I think legislatively, at least in India, when we were talking about earlier, we were talking about other countries where they were not allowing somebody to become a president or something at 35 years of age. So which legislatively in India it is not such a complicated thing because the rules are pretty nice. 25 years. By the way, Rajiv Gandhi was the youngest
44.
prime minister we ever had, and I
Yeah.
was under the impression that
As the Prime Minister of Canada is now, I think he's 42, 43, Tiwari Trudeau.
Well, Justin Trudeau, okay, let me.
I think 41, 40, 42.
by the time
41.
he looks
He's
for
younger.
his age,
He's
and
not
the
younger.
oldest I was thinking was
Yeah.
Morarji Bhai, but it
He's
was not
49.
Morarji.
He's
The oldest
49.
was
Yeah.
49. So he's approaching 50. He's 1 year less
Yeah.
than I think Rahul Gandhi. Uh,
2
and
years.
2 years less. Okay.
Yeah.
So and the oldest is
2
not
years
Morarji
older.
Bhai.
He's
It
just
is
2 years
it is
younger than me.
Manmohan Singh, which is kind of which kind of, at least to me it was information. I did not compare it, but I was just checking it out, and this came up to my height. And now for me, the family politics is more complicated than participation in the youth, because legislation and which is there in India, it allows youth participation, but unfortunately this does not happen because most of the political parties, starting with the Indian National Congress, they're family owned businesses. They are not political parties. So when Vandana ji says this, that it's different from United States of America, the Indian democracy, the way democracy works in Europe, for example, in Spain and in France, you don't vote a candidate, you vote for a party, and there's a list which comes out, which is not there in India. We vote for a candidate, and then you have to choose who is going to be the Republican and the Democrat in the United States of America. But this cannot happen in India because we have a multi-party system. So there'll be 4 or 5 candidates, but since the political parties are controlled by certain families, it could be the state parties or it could be the central party. The only exception which we see is BJP, which is not controlled by a party. It can be Shiv Sena also, it can be, Janata Dal, or it can be some other parties. They are mostly controlled by a family. And when they're controlled by a family, they will not let anybody happen. And that's the reason
Okay.
the party tickets are sold, because it's a business for them. So participation of youth.
That is depend. It depends on party to party, and some cases are coming out in India. It depends. And if you see, the left party was claimed themselves they're very honest party, but now also because
That is also going. It's going back from the democratic setup which was there in CPI or CPIM. That is also getting spoiled. It has become the hegemony of a certain few. This is very unfortunate, which is happening.
the evolution, the social system also
in case of India, that a person, he can become a mayor, or he can become the head of the Nagar Nigam or Nagar Palika at 21, which is fine, and he can become the prime minister as 25. It is very good. I mean, the legislation in India is in favor of youth. But what is happening is, it's more dangerous to have political parties owned by families rather than having independent parties, because this will not happen, and the average age will remain 50, 52 or more than that. Because
So quick answer to all of three, and after Alok ji, Rakesh Tiwari ji, and Vandana ji. Do we think the same question to all of you? And we only have one minutes, that 30 seconds we have, so we can just divide among three. So experience always, I think, as I understand, I analyze, youth always had been tortured. I'm using the word by the seniors. Do you have any experience? How can you do this? Why and what for? If you're not given the allocate and the authorize the any work, how the youth will be experienced? And if they are not experienced, how they'll work with? To concern. Do you think this is a good thing for any youth, for any country, for any society? Very brief answer, all of you. Vandanaji.
One second. I heard Tejasvi Surya when he was here,
Yeah.
and he addressed the IIT.
Yeah.
IIT is a very prestigious institute in Chicago. Indian
Yeah.
means it is not the IIT of this is called Illinois Institute of Technology. I have to tell you, because he is a combination of Sanskriti, Sanskar, and knowledge. Means
Really?
like, and how the connectivity of the youth, because if the Bharat is changing, so this has to change too. I think he is
Great.
the youth
Nice
icon
example.
of, and
I appreciate it.
and I always say wisdom should not retire, but there should be a transition. They always
Yeah,
say,
a nice point.
So yeah,
Valid
that
point.
is what. Yeah, that is what my take is.
Tiwari,
Yes, sir. Please ask the question.
whatever I already asked the question, whatever
Yeah,
Vandana
yeah.
said, that this should not be just.
And wisdom should not underestimate the youth, and they
Right.
should not break their morals, because the time has changed. What it was 60 years ago, what 40 years ago, and what
Yeah.
10 years ago, it is different.
You're right. You're right.
Let me say on this. I agree with you. You put the question and your answer was there. Definitely, every era of youth has to suffer. We all have suffered too, because of the prejudices or the biases from our parents or at their age of people, when they were like, okay, never praise your child in front of you or anything. If you say he's going to get spoiled or she's going to get spoiled, all those things we say that, and we just say that lack of experience, while we know that the experience only comes when you work. You cannot get the experience out from the thin air. Okay, so I will say our generation, where we all who are discussing this topic. I mean, so I have made a decision for myself that, all those people who are young, who are coming from 21, 22, 23, 24, 5, 24, 5, whatever is there, trust them, empower them, give them responsibility, and let them come out. Okay. It
Okay.
did not happen at that time when we were doing it. I think something positive we should take it from here. Trust them, empower them, and that's what I can say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alok, last thing. That's very valid points put by the Vandanaji. Wisdom. The parameters for the wisdom should be just measured by the age or experiences with regard to the youth development.
I personally feel that wisdom does not come with age. It comes with preparation, with, like she's given a brilliant example of Tejasvi Surya.
Yeah.
He's brilliant. I mean, I cannot think that he does not have wisdom. Or in case we have somebody like Chandramani Murma, she's the youngest at 21, an MP from Odisha. Now, Odisha normally is considered a backward state, but I mean, look at this, a woman, and that too, a very young woman who's they've sent her to the parliament. So I don't think that only when you have a beard or you have,
Yeah.
wisdom. And let's say you have wisdom, but where is the force? At 80, you can't even walk properly, and you want to become the prime minister. This is not done. I mean, okay, and then it is wisdom versus the force which you have. Now, at least the youth, they have the force, but then we have people We have people like our prime minister right now. He is not a young person, but the force, the amount of energy he has, this is incredible.
More than youth. Yeah.
We have to mix up the two things, and I don't think wisdom, this is an excuse which has been used by the old people to not let young ones come in.
Yeah.
There has to be, a balance between the two. Agreed, but I don't think, again, as I'm saying, that lots of people, they were very young when they've composed music or they've written novels. They were not 100 years old, and they had the wisdom to do and write things. So there has to be something like this, and I think everybody has the right to learn from their mistakes, and so have our parliamentarians, especially the young parliamentarians and the women parliamentarians. This is there, and the energy which they have, this will be guided. That will be the force, and that will be the guiding force in the future. And there are some very brilliant young parliamentarians who should be given opportunities. One of them is Tejaswi Surya.
Thank you. So nice of you just to give an example.
Let me make one line. Just let me give one line for Canada.
Please,
At the
please.
age of 18, yes, one can be elected as a parliamentarian. Okay.
Okay,
As
so
age of 18.
this is all the voting rights. Actually, this was 21 when Rajiv Gandhi time. The
No. We can be elected. 18-year-old can be a member of
Okay,
parliament.
actually, that is not an issue. They depend on the country to country, what the rules and regulations are there. But we are talking about the youth.
Yeah, that's what I said.
So the youth and experiences, just as we discussed, the role of youth in politics and development already.
Rakesh, to become a senator, it has to be 30 years of age in Canada.
Yes, too. To become a senator. But senator
That is also a matter of question and next discussion. Who has framed the rules for the concern? That is also a matter of concern. Who has framed and why and what for? How they define, what are the parameters? So
Reforms over a period of time is needed.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
You're right. Reforms always imminent, and that should be, as well as we discussed, the youth are always important. The youth energy just for the constructive way. If I recall, the Chief Justice of Bihar, Mr. BP Jha, they all said the youth has an ample of power, just like the sea power. If you the turn, just like you'll be the scientist. If you not the properly define and turn, they will the history cheaters and criminals. So how just the mold that their energy, positivity for the constructive way of the society. That is also important and depend on all the seniors who the try. This would guide how they guide. So that is also important. So I discussed the role of youth in political development, the vast subject, but we have just tried to touch the all angle, the dynastic, also the dynastic, the issue, the dynasty, imminent in India, as concerned all the country. Too nice of you. Just
there is one thing which is called insecurity also. Means like, that does not let the youth come in, which point cannot be missed.
But that is our fault, who the seniors.
That's what I'm saying from their perspective. That's what I'm saying. Insecurity. Yeah. That's
why they feel insecurity.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
So seniors, here the senior works. So they should encourage and nourish. No, you should be insecure just to give the confidence. As you talk, there is no age of the wisdom, no age of confidence.
If the seniors are insecure of the youth power, then they'll not help them.
Yeah, no,
that is one of the reasons.
Yeah,
that is one of the reasons.
Depend. So nice of you. Just we discussed all the point, and thank you very much. And about the Global Governance News TV, and I have discussed and continue this topic, this touches, and will be continued by the country by country and day by day. I think the power of youth should be increased on global level as United Nations concerned and IPU and other organizations of the world. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.